As you walk through the valley of the shadow of hell, you will realize that there is something ahead. Something that lurks behind the dark veil. A veil that is beyond our own comprehension. Beyond the void.
What's up, guys, and welcome back to
Beyond the Void
Horror Podcast.
That's right, guys, we're back. It's Monday. Woo!
It's Monday.
But we're back for another week, and we are going to be doing one episode again this week. We know we told you guys. Now, to be full disclosure, we have been discussing possibly just cutting it back to doing one a week and then doing two a week if we feel like it, more so as like a bonus extra episode, because to be quite honest with you guys, it's a lot of work behind the scenes here to put up 2 episodes a week. But today, guys, we're going to be discussing 2 Asian cult films that you may have never heard of before. One of them is called Evil Dead Trap, and the other is
The Boxers Omen.
And to make matters even better, we will be having a guest on with us named Don Anelli. He's a podcaster, fellow podcaster. He does a podcast called the Horror Mafia Podcast, which is part of the Horrophilia network of podcasts. He also writes for Death by Podcast and Slice and Dice Dreadcast, so you guys are going to want to stick around for that when we get to our Flesh and Potatoes segment today. But first, how you doing, Brittany?
I'm good.
How's things going?
Good.
Yeah, you said you've been out and about. You went to a couple
Doing too much.
parties or something, or
Per
clubs
usual.
and shit.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what I did all last weekend. I know I went out Friday, Saturday, and then we're busy all day Sunday too. So
Right.
That's fun. And it's the same this weekend. So, because I'm doing my birthday stuff this weekend. It's my birthday.
That's right, yeah,
is
Tuesday.
Tuesday. March 20th.
That's the day I'm going to be interviewing with Ifke, who is the documentarian for The Johnsons.
Sweet.
Which we're going to have to watch. I have to watch
week.
the documentary and the movie before Tuesday just to like make sure that I have all my questions in order.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, happy birthday, Huppy, soon to be birthday. By the time you guys hear this, our birthday will be tomorrow.
Yeah, that's right, because it's a Monday.
So
Monday.
we'll post about it.
Maybe.
We'll tell her age, dress, wherever she lives.
Thank you. It's my dream. Can all
We'll just dox you on our own webpage.
You know, come visit me and I'll kill you. It'll be beautiful.
I've been doing a couple of things that are kind of fun. One, I have a confession to make. So, remember we were talking about Ash versus Evil Dead, and we were talking about nobody wants to pay, blah, 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 and I was like, yeah, you're kind of right. Well, I went ahead and paid a subscription for Stars on the Amazon channels thing for Ash, just specifically for the season 3 of Ash versus Evil Dead, because I couldn't wait. You know what I mean? I realized that I mentioned that, fuck that, but I thought it was going to be $20, and I thought that's what it was, but I was thinking of how much it costs for some other thing. I don't know, but it's only $8.99 a month, I guess, so fuck it, right?
Well, it's cheaper through the app stuff, especially, like, I think if you have Prime or whatever, too, already, it might be cheaper. It's, like, through your cable company.
Well, no, that's what we did it through his Prime.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, so it's probably cheaper through that, but if you did it through, like, Cox...
Right,
whatever,
it'd be a lot
it's
more.
like $15 or $20 a month on your bill. Like bastards.
Well, so far, the season 3 is good. It's not as good as season 2 has been, but it's still better than the first season, which isn't that hard to do, in my opinion. I'm actually enjoying it. I'm only 3 episodes deep because we're going to wait till next week or this week for you guys, but we're still waiting on the rest. But I think the season 2 took a little bit, but these guys really pushed the limits with this show. Like, they do some fucked up stuff. Like, I'm like, damn, dude.
Well, it's Stars, right?
Yeah.
They can do whatever they want.
I think it's more just the writers, and it's still written by Rob Tappert, I guess. So, because I looked for it, and I don't know if every episode is written by the same person, because, how they have different directors sometimes for, like, TV shows and shit. I also watched The Game of Death. If you guys are not familiar with that, and I'm not talking about the Bruce Lee movie, by the way. This is a movie from 2017 that hit like the festivals and shit. There's a new app called Black Pills. I've never even heard of it, but I downloaded it on our Apple TV, and it was free, and I got to watch this whole movie. It's about these kids that play a game called The Game of Death, and they stick their thumbs on these skulls, and it pricks them, and then they have like a time limit. They have to kill 24 people.
Oh,
and
it's like murderous Jumanji.
Yes, exactly. It's exactly like that. It wasn't as great as I had expected it. Yeah, probably.
Nothing is.
Oh, I haven't seen the new one, so I
don't
couldn't
care.
say. Yeah,
I don't give a fuck
I
about
want to
the new
see
one.
that. I really do.
I love The Rock, so I'm like maybe, but
I'm open to it.
I heard it was good, so I'm like I don't know. We'll see. I don't want
to buy it. Like I just want to see it.
Yeah, I'm like I want to watch it.
Yeah,
for free.
I'll see what it's like, and
Somewhere.
then maybe. But yeah,
maybe.
if you guys want to watch that, it's pretty cool. Just look for Black Pills, all one word, on Android or iOS. So if you have like, whatever device that you can think of that uses it, pretty much Android or iOS, you can do it. There were some other shows on there that were pretty cool too. They had like, they essentially took the movie and broke it into like 6 or 7 segments. So it was a little annoying to watch the whole thing, knowing that it was a movie beforehand. But, I watched it anyway, and I actually thought it was pretty fun. But they have another show called Everyone I Love Is Dead.
Oh.
And it's a comedy from the perspective of zombies.
Oh, cute.
So it kind of reminded me of the movie Zombies in a lot of ways. So they, like, have humans as pets, and they, like, eat people, like... But it's, like, the reverse roles. So it's, like, they're just like us through their eyes, and they have, like, a pet human. And, like, it's just weird. It was kind of fun. I watched the whole thing last night, and I was just, like, all into it, so. Plus, if you know, they got South by Southwest going on right now. Fuck. I keep seeing all these reviews for all these movies I'm not going to be able to see for, like, it could be even a year.
Forever.
Yeah, like, it's going to be fucking forever, man. And there's Hereditary that I'm really interested in seeing because a lot of people have been raving about it. Although I did see one review that was like, meh.
Meh.
I didn't know how I felt about it. So, I don't know. We'll see, I guess. But, so, what are you going to do for your birthday, by the way? Like...
Have a parade.
Have a parade. Shit, fuck.
Full parade. I've spoken with the governor of Phoenix. It's going to happen.
And what I did, too, is because we planned that fucking interview. So I feel bad. Like, I normally we do a whole fucking episode about, for your birthday, you pick the movies and all that other shit.
It's okay.
Maybe we still can. I don't know.
Well, let's do it the week after. I don't give a shit.
You want to do that?
Yeah, okay.
Okay, cool. Well, we'll do that, guys.
I don't give a fuck.
Brittany gets to pick 2 movies. Doesn't matter what they are.
Yay.
I
can pick anything I want.
Yeah, I know.
Does it have to be horror?
Yes, it has to be
kidding.
horror.
Like, because there's no other genre.
Like,
anyway,
I don't mind going outside the genre a little bit. Like,
no, I was fucking with you.
I
was
bought,
gonna be like, I'm gonna put.
But just as a note, like, I really don't mind going outside the genre every once in a while.
Yeah.
Because, like, I'm watching, like, I just purchased Godzilla vs. Hedorah, I guess, but it's the smog monster. And I'm like, that's kind of borderline.
It's fine. It gives me an extra week to think of what movies I want to watch.
That's right. So, but I think it might be that time.
No.
Horror Shots! All right, guys, we are back, and we're going to do our horror shots. Now, this week, since we're going to be doing the Asian cult cinema, like the 2 different movies, the Evil Dead Cult, and we also... God, I keep saying that. Evil Dead Trap, Alex. And everyone that's listening to me fuck it up. Also, we're going to be doing The Boxers Omen. Now, in the movie The Boxers Omen, which will spoil and, not spoil necessarily up front, but towards the end. But one of the moments in there is they do a lot of black magic, and they do these rituals in it that are, like, extremely long. And it's kind of cool to me. But in one of them, they crack open a rotting skull with eyes still in it, pour in a bunch of poison from snakes. They stir the brains together and cook it up, and then pour it out for these spiders to suck up the poisonous rotting brain shit. And it's a long story, but we figured we'd call it this shot based on the Boxers Omen.
Skull cap.
Booyah. So What's in a skull cap? Well, it's not something that's going to sound too delicious, but hopefully is in the end. We're actually going to be putting in 3 ingredients in this, so get your books out, everyone. Get your BTV books out.
Get your pencils.
Get your BTV logo books out right now.
We need books.
And get your decoder ring.
We need books.
We need a decoder ring.
Yeah, fuck books. Decoder ring.
So
X-ray glasses.
there's 2 ingredients I'll tell you right off the bat, and I'll save the worst one for last. So the first ingredient is 99 bananas, which is pretty strong. Then it's creme de menthe, or creme de menthe.
Huh.
Yeah. And the final and disgusting ingredient to make the skull cap is yogurt.
Didn't you pick like strawberry yogurt too?
Yeah, well, I couldn't find any regular. And I didn't want to buy like a whole...
This is Alex frothing
Oh,
it. Oh no, it's gonna go in everywhere. What is the yogurt at the bottom? Put it up to the microphone so we can hear it. Not bad.
Hold on, I'm almost done. All right, so we started up with one of the frothing, the BTV frother.
We should
you go.
fucking get a frother also.
It actually kind of looks the same color as the stuff that they poured out for the spiders to drink.
It's so sticky.
Doesn't it, though?
I hate being sticky.
Oh. Okay, well, that's going to stain the carpet.
You look like you just fucked a leprechaun. Oh no, it is all over the carpet.
Oh my god! I just
Jesus.
spilled it everywhere!
What are you? Fucking
I don't know.
Jesus
Fuck me.
Christ. What the fuck happened here?
I gotta clean that up after this.
Yeah, that's a lot of green.
Okay, so now...
What is so green? Is that the creme de menthe? Is it the green?
Yeah, it's the creme de menthe. Yeah,
Oh,
it's...
it's so gross.
Or cream de menthe? I don't really know.
Pretty sure it's creme.
That's what I thought.
I'm pretty sure it's garbage.
Because it's got an E after
Actually,
it.
it's
But maybe it's just British.
just garbage. That's what it is.
Also, before we drink this, I want to give a big shout out to my homeboy, David Cronenberg. It's his 75th birthday today, is the day we're recording it, Thursday, the 15th.
Holla!
One of my all-time favorite directors. There's a few, but he is one of the big ones. Him, John Carpenter, like... They've put out so many great movies, guys, so
that's really what the green froth is. That's on
right.
the carpet.
Well, and there's another caveat to this as well, I guess. It's also St. Patty's Day over the weekend, so and this is green, and it's a skull cap, so it's like
We
a
didn't even
triple
plan that.
entendre.
That's funny. I didn't even think about that.
Right.
St. Patrick's Day has no importance to me.
So we're gonna. This is gonna be cheers to David Cronenberg, and we're gonna say "Long live the flesh and drink." Got it?
Long live the flesh and drink.
Yes.
Just kidding. I thought I had to say that part. Fucker.
I didn't think it tasted bad.
No.
Wait, you sipped it?
No, I chugged it.
I don't think it's that bad.
No, my problem was the big old chunk of fucking yogurt that slurped into my mouth at the end. Holy balls, it's like swallowing fucking jizz.
Well, I mean, if you do mix in somebody
like-
else's brains with venomous snake poison, yeah.
I fucking hate minty shit.
I'm not a big fan either, but
Minty shit.
I wanted to kind of go outside the box a little bit. Funny story, by the way, guys. I went to the store and was like, I've got to get creme de menthe. And I went there and bought another bottle. I have 2 bottles that have been sitting, I've had since we started the fucking podcast. So now I have 2 bottles instead of just the one that I'm never going to use. But yeah, so.
I was like, did you give us the new bottle or the old one?
No, it's the old. It doesn't matter. It's alcohol. God. It's not going to go bad.
I know, we discussed this. I'm like, does it just get better with age? Like wine?
It's like a fine mint.
No. Tastes like I just blew fucking peppermints all day.
Hey, leprechaun?
You fucking fucked a leprechaun over there. Jizzed all over the place. I look like I fucking blew everybody at a peppermint factory.
Well, guys, if you would like to check out the skull cap and do one for yourself, but go to longlivethevoid.com to check out our hashtag horror shot section now. That's it for horror shots. All right, guys, so now we're going to go ahead and jump into our flesh and potatoes with our good friend, Don Anelli, fellow podcaster, fellow horror aficionado. Let's find out soon, but stick around, guys, for our flesh and potatoes of
Evil Dead Trap.
And
The Boxers Omen.
let's do that right now. All right, guys, so we're back, and we're going to have our friend on now, and that is Don Anelli. I'm pronouncing that right?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
just it's not that hard. It's not that complex, Alex. How you doing, man?
Oh, I'm doing great, man. Great to be here.
Yeah, man, I'm glad you came on. Apparently, for you guys that didn't know, Don Anelli actually does a podcast of his own, as well as he's a part of numerous other podcasts. But his personal podcast, where he talks predominantly about horror and sometimes some of the Godfather movies, right?
Oh, yeah. We've covered a couple of those mafia movies.
Yeah. And I love the fucking podcast name. It's called the Horror Mafia Podcast, guys.
Excellent.
If you haven't checked it out, you should. He's a huge supporter of horror and many other podcasts. He just wants to be a part of the community just like we do. So if you guys like what we do, you're probably going to love what he does too. So, but
Yeah.
You also write though, right?
Oh, yeah. I do a lot of blogging. I do a lot of reviews, articles, write-ups, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, you've kind of toned that down a little bit on your own though. You have your own site for that.
Yeah, well, I'm in the process of moving, actually, so a lot of it's just, at this point, maintenance. I'm moving everything over to the new site just to keep it alive.
Right.
So, yeah, as soon as I get that finished, because at the moment, the old site that I was spreading, that is about to be killed off at the end of the month, and I can't afford it, so I'm moving to a new server, and hopefully, yeah, so I'm moving everything over now, so a lot of the stuff that I used to post is going to be up there on the new site. Hopefully, maybe first week of May or so, I'll be able to start writing new stuff again.
Now, so you're not even writing for the, I guess, the Death by Podcast website, the Slice and Dice Dreadcast?
No, yeah. A lot of that stuff is being, the Death by Podcast site is being rebranded into Horror Mafia, because Death by Podcast kind of went under.
Gotcha.
So, so we switched over from that being the main show to Horror Mafia being the main show, and we're rebranding everything into Horror Mafia, and so we're doing that. I'm switching my stuff over from my old personal site to my new site, and yeah, I haven't had much time to do writing. I've squeezed in some paragraphs here and there, but nothing that I could call a definitive piece of original work yet.
Yeah. By the way, guys, Don actually likes a lot of the outer fringe stuff for horror. You always say, like, oh, well, I typically like some of that weird, bad stuff, right? Not usually the conversation we have in some of the posts.
Yeah, I'm pretty much what you would call... Well, I've sort of self-described myself as an all-inclusive exclusionist. It makes sense when you explain it.
Yeah, well, I had to think about it for a second. I'm like, okay, I get it. So whatever you like, you like.
Yeah, so if I like something, I like everything about it.
Right.
So for me, being a horror fan, I'm gotten into it where, okay, my collection ranges from Abbott and Costello and the Universal stuff to Spanish and French horror to, the stuff we're going to talk about today. And I have no qualms about the fact that sitting amongst all that is, R.L. Stine teeny bopper stuff. So.
How dare you like Abbott and Costello? Those bastards killed Universal Horror. I'm just kidding. Some people get weird about that. They're like, that's when it went to hell.
Yeah, apparently they haven't seen Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein.
Right,
so.
It's fucking hilarious, dude. Like, even today, I watched it with one of our writers, Mark Doubt, who we had on as a guest too, and I just fucking loved it.
And it is hysterical, some of that stuff, and I'm surprised that there's, where's the gag reel to that thing? Because that thing is going to be...
Oh, yeah.
I mean...
they improv'd a lot of weird stuff in that, probably.
Oh, I mean, not to, get too deep into that, but I mean, just the scene of him sitting on the corpse in that laboratory where he's, fidgeting around trying to wait for him, and he notices that he's sitting on the creature itself. Oh man,
that's right.
Yeah. I mean, not to get too deep into that because that's not what we're reviewing.
No,
but,
whatever. It's just nice
Yeah,
to
I
talk
mean-
about, to get to know you, man.
Oh, yeah, no. I mean, stuff like that I find hysterical. I'm really, really big on slapstick comedy. So, whacking people over the head is always a good time in my book.
Well, so are you a fan of Peter Jackson or Sam Raimi, obviously?
Oh, yeah. I have Dead Alive in my top 10 favorite films of all time.
That's my number one, I think. Brittany knows that movie, right? You know
Oh,
that
yeah.
movie.
Yeah,
God, that's
Yeah.
that's my favorite, man. I don't know what it is. That humor is just so good.
it is good.
I'll tell you what, if I can find it as Brain Dead, I may be able to put it at number 1, but I know it as Dead Alive and in top 10, but yeah, I'm not going to fault you for liking that one.
Yeah, no, well, I have like 5 different versions. Like I have the PAL version because I couldn't. Like that's the only version that you can get that's fully uncut, and it's only DVD because they don't do that with
Yeah.
Blu-ray anymore. Just regions.
Yeah. I'd love to get my hands on that copy. So, yeah, that's,
Sell it to
I
you.
love that.
I'm just
I love
kidding.
that kind of stuff.
Well, do you know that the Blu-ray for the Dead Alive movie, the U.S. Supposedly uncut, but it's the cut uncut,
Yeah.
if that makes sense, is going for like $119 on Amazon right now. I looked just last night.
Yeah, that's not in my price range.
Right?
Not in my price range.
Chris, my girlfriend's all like, sell it. I'm like, no, hell no. Like, it's not the complete version, but I still want it.
Sell it.
Well, anyway, guys, I think we should jump into our flesh and potatoes now and talk about the 2 movies. We mentioned that, I didn't know if we mentioned this or not, but Don actually did an episode on one of the movies that we'll be talking about today, and that's the Boxers Omen. And on his podcast, I think he did like 3 movies, right?
Oh yeah, that was a special episode. We did. We have a special segment that we called Torture Tanya, which is a friend of one of our co-hosts who likes to be tortured and watch awful movies. So I suggested the film Dead Sushi by Noboru Iguchi.
Yeah. It's pretty bad.
Yeah, and then the main course was Mystics in Bali, and then the Boxer's Omen.
Right. You know, I have a lot to say about the Boxer's Omen, by the way, but I'll save it because
Yeah.
it's hard for me to not say something, so I'll try my best, guys. But first, we're going to go ahead and kick this off. But yeah, that's what I was going to say. Don did the fucking episode and he posted it in the Do You Love Horror group. And I was like, oh shit. I was like, we were actually going to do that next week. And actually it was going to be the week after, but we ended up moving things around. And he said, hey, well, if you do it, let me come on. I was like, fuck yeah, dude, let's go. So that's why Don's here today, so we can talk about these. He got to see a movie he hadn't seen, which we're going to be talking about right now, and that is Evil Dead Trap. Now, I did the majority of the work on this one. Evil Dead Trap came out in 1988. It's also known as Shiro
Shiryu
Nowana.
Nowani.
Yeah, Nowani?
Shiryu Nowana.
Well, you tell me, man, because I don't know.
No, I grew up on.
Shiryu?
I grew up on.
That makes sense. Shiryu does, but the Nowani thing gets me no
No
traction. Yeah, I know Wani that.
No wanting.
Wow.
Yeah, no, I grew up on Godzilla films. Japanese is not an issue for me.
Yeah, that's pretty good, man. Like I'm usually pretty good, but you showed me up, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
We're all here to learn. That's not.
I'm
we're all here
out,
to
guys.
learn.
I'll see you guys later. Don's got it. The story on this one, by the way, guys, is TV show host Nami asks her viewers to send in home movies. She receives a snuff film apparently shot at a nearby factory. Taking a camera crew out to investigate, good idea,
Right.
Nami finds the factory deserted. Or so she thinks. As Nami and her crew begin to scour the factory, they're murdered by one in a grisly fashion until Nami remains. She ultimately discovers that the killer is Hariki, a small fetus-like man conjoined to his fully grown, naive twin brother who seems unaware of the killings. This movie was directed by Toshiharu Akira, who passed away in 2010, actually. I don't know how, but It's sad to see because this was actually kind of a weird movie that I would have loved to see a little bit more, although he seems to be pretty friendly with the semi-porn films more than anything. He even did a female prisoner scorpion death threat remake, sort of. It was like part 6, I guess, of this female prisoner scorpion, which are these pink, what is it called? Pink films?
Right, yeah.
Basically, it's women exploitation films for Japan. So, but he did the Scorpion, the female prisoner Scorpion death. He also did A Shadow of the Wraith and Man Behind the Scissors, which was one of the last ones that was really popular. It also is written by Takashi Ishii, who wrote and directed Black Angel Volume 1 and 2. Mostly a lot of softcore porn in that direction, too. And he also did Brutal Insanity of Love and the sequel, I believe. Some of the cast, another fun fact about porn, most of the stars in this movie were porn stars.
Yep.
When they say porn, though, I don't know if it's full out, like, American porn style.
It's like American porn.
Yeah, it's probably just semi sort of,
boobs and bush.
softcore porn, basically.
Boobs and bush
Yeah.
and some minor ass slapping.
Yeah, no, porn in Japan is not allowed to show a woman's genitalia.
Right.
So, yeah, there's never
Or
actually
pubic
any...
hair, right?
Right, yeah, it's all, there's the famous thing is that it's all fogged out. So, you can show it on the screen, but it's got to be fogged out if you do, so you can never physically show it.
Right. It's really hot, guys. The blur,
The
I
best
love
porn
it.
Ever. It's the mystery of the pussy.
Oh, God.
I'm ready.
What
What does it look like under there?
What's living within?
I don't even. That sounds dirty. That sounds wrong. Like there's something bad under
Is
there,
it
you know?
chlamydia?
Like, yeah. Like
Well, isn't porn
crabs.
supposed...
Or is
Well,
it just herpes? What is it?
Some of the cast that you'll probably have never heard of, although I tried to do my best. Honestly, after looking through all of these actors, majority of them only worked with this director at all. Like, did a lot of softcore porn. Again, Miyuki Ono, who plays Nami, the main character in the movie, she was in the movie Black Rain, which is a pretty big title. She was also in Black Angel Volume 1 and The Man Behind the Scissors, again, the same director. And, big fan of that. Some of the other porn stars that are in this movie is Yuji Homa as Daisuke Muraki. We have Hitomi Kobayashi as Rai Sugiura. Sugiura? Is that what it is? Okay.
No, Sugiura.
Sugiura. All right.
Yeah, there you go.
What he said. Shinsuke Shimada is the TV producer, and quite a few others that I'm probably not going to go over. It's not that I don't appreciate their work. I actually didn't think they were bad actors at all. Some of the music was done by Tomihiko Kira, who worked on Shadow of the Wraith, Bomberman 64, The Second Attack, and Brutal Insanity of Love. Honestly, guys, and I'm sure you probably feel me on this one, Don, reminds me, the score, the main song that they play through this whole movie, reminds me of Fabio Frizzi's music in the Fulci's The Beyond, called Verso La Ignoto.
Right, yeah, that, I almost thought that there was straight up lifting of the score until I heard it a second time.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, it's almost identical. They're, if you didn't know otherwise, you would think that they straight up took the soundtrack and played it over. I had the hardest time trying to track down the tracks because I was like, wait a second, this reminds me of a lot of different things. And then I started listening through the tracks, and that was the one I was like, that's the one. That's the one that the blind girl, Emily, always plays on the piano and shit. Mm-hmm, yeah.
In The Beyond, by the way.
Right.
But yeah, it's not the exact notes, guys, so I was
right.
wholeheartedly sold on that it was, but it wasn't.
Yeah, no, I was too. I mean, there's times where you can almost swear that they just took the soundtrack and put it over. It is that close, right? I'm totally with you. Yeah, you almost get that feeling that they did just take the soundtrack and use it.
Well, what do you think about this movie? For your first time watching it, what did you think of it?
It's not bad. I know that there's probably more traditional Japanese slasher efforts. I've heard of one called The Guardian from the Underground. That sounds intriguing. I definitely want to look into that. Not necessarily all that great, but not too bad. I'm kind of in the middle on this one.
Yeah, I think it is a little bit like that. What do you think, Brittany?
I had a good time with this movie, for the most part.
Yeah?
It had me for the first probably like 45 minutes, and then once I realized pretty much everybody but like Nami and that strange dude were dead, I was like, so where do we go from here?
Yeah. Let's drag it out for 45 minutes.
Everybody's already dead, and it's 30 minutes into the movie, so what the fuck's gonna happen? Like, what are we doing? And then that's when I was it lost me for about 30 minutes at that point. 'Cause I'm
Really?
like, what is happening? Like, I don't know. It was just a lot of like unnecessary pauses and just trying to build a story. So I understand why they did it, but at the same time, I just felt it was unnecessary.
I almost feel like it's because they were trying to go for an atmosphere, but
yeah,
it was way too long.
Exactly.
It's like I've done that with songs, with music.
Right.
The songs are like 7 minutes long, and I'm like, whoa, this is way too long.
No one wants a 7-minute long song,
right.
Alex.
It's got to be tightened.
Nobody wants a 7-minute long song. No one. Not anymore. Like, it was cool in the 70s, but like now everybody's like, fuck off. I want to go home. Like, I listened to the same song for 18 years. Anyway.
What, you don't like Foghat?
No. But there's a lot of things about this that I appreciated. The gore was good.
Mm-hmm.
I love the gore, yeah.
The gore was good, and I loved every minute of that. I just felt like there should have been more of it. Like, they should have just ran more with that. So, I don't know. I think they rushed a lot of the kills, and I wish they would have slowed it down a little bit and paced it out a little bit more. So it would have made the story a little bit more cohesive, as far as not making me want to fall asleep for half an hour until it, like, sort of got interesting again. But
yeah, it was kind of weird that it was the acting where everybody's in the building talking with each other. That's the stuff that's spread out and kind of like, it takes forever to get through.
Yeah.
And then, the kills are the stuff that, just breezes on by.
It's like this. Done. Like,
yeah.
Why?
I mean, there's only the one kill where, the girl's impaled in the shower. That's like, the longest kill in the whole movie, but even still, that's not really all that short.
Right, yeah. Well, it's somehow they figured out a way to spend all this time talking, yet never tell us the fucking story.
Right.
Like, I don't know how that possibly happens. It's like, okay, like, we're doing a lot of talking right now, but we really don't make any sense why this is happening. I'm so confused.
Who is this guy? Why does he have a deformed fetus attached to him somehow?
Well, you don't even figure that out to the
murdering
end.
People, and then where does it come from? Why is it there? Please explain this to me. And they don't. And then at the end, it gets even more fucking batshit, where it just like, blah, fetus, nothing makes sense. And I just sat there staring at my TV for like 10 minutes going, why?
Well,
like, that was cool.
One of the things that I think that if you're going to watch this movie, to anybody that's listening or who's talking now, if you're going to watch this movie, you should watch the behind the audio commentary, or listen to the audio commentary while watching a movie the second time. The copy that you guys have had that, and I listened to it. It's very sparse, and it's kind of hard to understand because their English is not bad. It's just there's a word here and there that you just might not catch. So he was going for this like completely dreamlike fucking thing, and it made no sense what he was trying to say to me. But
yeah, it seems a little weird that I think a lot of it is because, a fetus doesn't necessarily mean like a dreamlike atmosphere.
Right.
Like that, if you're going for that kind of a thing, I would imagine something, he was saying something about the settings in the underground, the tunnels, where he wanted it to be like a transfiguration or like transportation sort of a situation.
Right.
Like, I can see that being where he's going, but then I don't get where this this demon fetus attached to him.
Makes no sense. Maybe it's the hitchhiker that you carry through your life.
I don't
I don't understand. Like, I mean, whatever. It's his art interpretation, and maybe it wasn't supposed to be. I feel like he was trying to go for like a possession type movie with gore.
Right. That's the end.
Yeah.
That's what I feel.
Like it's story wise. But before we get to that, though, I want to say a few things. First off, if someone sends you a snuff tape, don't go looking for who made it.
No, so fucking stupid.
Seems like a bad idea even in the 80s.
Let me gather my crew of women.
Well, there was
crew,
two guys,
just
right?
one guy.
There was another guy with glasses, am I right? who's like the nerdy guy that's always like a fan of the one girl, and he was like, I tried to have sex with you, I'm impotent. Or she's like, no.
Yeah, that's the guy that gets his head cut off.
That's a different guy than the guy with the fucking hoodie.
Serious, like I feel like I don't remember there being another dude that went with them, so that's why I'm like, what?
Well, the story is a little convoluted, so it is kind of confusing anyway.
Yeah, we can both be right or wrong. Who even knows?
You have to pay like serious attention to this movie, and it doesn't demand that much of your attention visually anyway. Sometimes it does. It's not perfect, but it's sort of like a Japanese version of that follows tropes from other more popular films. Not in necessarily the kills. The kills are somewhat unique. An example I could give you guys is like Evil Dead with the fast-moving camera in the woods. It was like in blue, and it was like going around the factory. Or they have
the camera scene too, with the flash.
Yeah.
There's a couple of them. There's a couple of them throughout there showing the.
That was dope.
Yeah.
They also did the sex scene, which is kind of typical of like the Friday the 13th kind of thing. I mean, that's kind of a reach, but
ridiculous.
Why have sex in inappropriate places? Because you can.
Why not? Yeah.
I also get Fulci specifically, probably more so because of the music, and even a little bit of a basket case sort of thrown in. So, but as a whole, the movie is completely different than any of those movies, and it does seem to take some ideas from the big guys, although I can't explain how exactly. It's just the techniques that they use throughout the movie.
Yeah.
But I it does have a lot of gore, a lot of grue, a lot of fucking splattered, like crazy shit. Honestly, some of the kills are pretty brutal, and it made me question like how they did it. One of the there's a eye gouging scene in the movie that is
awesome.
I wouldn't say it beats Fulci Zombie by any means, because there's that extra break off point in the zombie movie, but I feel like it has a little bit of atmosphere, and it pulls off, like in some scenes, not perfectly. I feel like it tries more than it actually accomplishes in that area. And then by the end of the movie, like it kind of jumps the shark. It's still interesting in some ways, but it's an hour and almost 50-minute movie, which I feel like is entirely too long for the premise of this movie.
Yes.
I don't know. That's pretty much how I feel about it. It's not got a lot of substance to it, even though the director swears by it in the commentary.
Of course he does.
But it's not gonna be for everyone, guys.
I still liked it. I mean, if you like, your Asian horror, whatever, you're gonna
slasher, whatever, gore, you like gore,
you're gonna like it. Like at least for the first 35 to 45 minutes, because it's just this good, pretty decently solid gore fest. So there could be a lot more, but it was decent. I had a good time with it.
What about you, Don? Do you have anything else to add?
Yeah, no, I'm right there with Brittany. That's kind of how I was. A lot of fun in the beginning, great setup. Really get into it with the initial kills. Kind of loses its momentum once it's you basically realize, the first half of the movie you're just down to the final girl. It's like, okay, now what?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like
Yeah.
It's like, it's like 50 minutes in and you're down to her, and then you still have another 40 minutes left.
Yeah, that's what I said. Well, I paused it after the one chick, one of the last people dies, and I'm like, there's still 40 fucking minutes
Dude,
left in this movie.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, at an hour and 10, 15 minutes, I was like, it's over, right? Like, it's going to just end up and wrap it up. Why? How is there 45 fucking minutes?
Who the fuck did this? Fuck
like
you.
40 minutes, whatever.
It's ridiculous. Anyways.
Yeah, no, this definitely should have been hacked at with an editor.
The payoff, though, wasn't worth it. That's the biggest thing, I feel like. Like, once you finally get to the end of the movie, is it worth that fucking,
you know what? I bought it for a reason, and I think it's because some of the kills in it were, pretty unique to me. Like, I liked it. It reminded me of that one French movie where they have traps in the house. I can't think of what it's called. But it kind of reminded me of that. It had a little bit of Saw thrown in. It literally is pulling from so many different movies, even the ones that didn't exist at that time. So it's like, it just feels like a bunch of movies met up in the middle and were like, hey, let's throw this together and
Where
see what
did
happens.
they film this, by the way?
Or Japan, I think.
Is it? Because everything in it is American.
No.
Just about. Like all the beer cans and stuff that are around.
They're trying
like
to make it...
all that.
That's a thing that
that-
a lot
Okay.
of Japanese, Chinese...
Sounds like that's Miller Lite.
They try to like make it appealing to the West market because it's so huge.
It makes sense.
So...
Because everything that's strewed around everywhere is all American labels.
Yeah.
Which I thought, and that even where they film it in that warehouse looks like it's
Well, they still have American shit out there, just like we have.
Japanese. I know, but still, I feel like I thought that was strange, but it felt more American to me. Than
I didn't
anything.
notice that though.
And the stuff in the background.
Yeah, not really.
Yeah, I did. I totally did. I don't know why, but I did. And well, it's Miller Lite.
Well, there is some trivia to this. I did some listening to the background. You might be able to add to this, Don. It sounds like you listened to the track behind it.
Right, yeah.
You
the
did.
commentary?
Yeah.
3-4, there's like, 3 or 4 minutes where he's not speaking at all.
Yeah.
It's him and some other guy. I didn't catch the name.
It's
Because there's 2 guys.
It's the special effects guy and the director.
Oh, okay, yeah. I couldn't hear who the second guy was.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I knew there's 2 on the track, but I didn't know who the other guy was.
Yeah.
Okay.
The director, which is Toshiharu Ikeda, and of course the special effects guy, who is Shinichi Wasaka or Wakasa, who would go Wakasa, yeah.
Yeah.
He would go. His career spawned from this. As a matter of fact, because of the special effects that he did here, he was the suit maker for several, and we're talking like a lot of Godzilla movies, guys. He worked on, let's see, Godzilla Final Wars, Gamera 2, or Gamera, Space Godzilla, Rebirth of Mothra 1 through 3. He even did some work on the live-action Devilman movie from 2004. But that's just to name a few. Like, he's done a ton of work, so...
Yeah, I know a lot of his work. I don't have a voice to go with the name, so I didn't know. But yeah, I'm a huge fan of his work.
Right? Yeah, yeah. He does. And that's funny too because I just bought that fucking Godzilla versus the Smog Monster too. So it's like, come on, Alex, watch it. Let's talk about it. Apparently, and I don't know if you guys knew this or not, but there is a sequel. And I have seen it. I owned it at one point.
There's actually 2. That's 2.
What I heard, but I couldn't find the third one.
Yeah, the third one, it's sometimes just called Broken Love Killer. It's actually by Ikeda himself. He actually directed it. It's not a true sequel like Part 2 is. Because, Part 2 is one that doesn't have any connection to this one.
I was going to say, Part 2 doesn't at all. Like, that's what I remember.
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, Part 2 is a psychedelics character study about a woman who works at a movie theater, and she ends up having this sort of like a May thing where she wants to have like a perfect friend or whatever, and she goes around killing people to try to make like a perfect friend or whatever.
Oh.
That's Part 2, and then so Part 3, I haven't seen that one, but I know it goes under the name Broken Love Killer. And that's actually it's by Ikeda himself, which is why it became Part 3, because, same director, similar style of movie.
I feel like they were just trying to milk off the success of the first one.
More than likely, I wouldn't put it past them. Something like that. You've got somebody that creates a success. He does a similar movie. Let's try to boost sales by tagging it onto this, popular thing he did.
Right.
Yeah, there's so many stories about that. We can probably, do a spin-off podcast and talk about those movies ourselves.
Right. I remember owning the original or the second one, and I kept thinking it was one of those movies that I was like, okay, I'm going to watch this again because it's a sequel, right? And then I would go, fuck, man, I just spent an hour of my time watching this movie, and then it gets good at the last 20 minutes of the fucking movie. And then I was like, I don't understand any of this. So I sold it. I kept the first one, and I sold the second one. So
yeah,
I feel like it's a waste of time, my personal opinion. If you guys want to go further down the rabbit hole that has no connection to this movie, Evil Dead Trap, in my opinion, and then, like you said, then yeah, I would skip it. So, if you can't get into this one, I wouldn't waste your time watching the sequel. But they did say that they shot this movie from like 9 a.m. till 3 a.m. each night. So, they really only had like 5-6 hours sleep before they would shoot. So, all the actors had to do this day in and day out. And they said that American movies are like that, but not there. So, and the special effects guys were working day and night, like just to make everything work. So, I mean, they had to have somebody on set, you know, in case they needed him, obviously.
Right.
But they do joke about how they didn't even have storyboards in the film, so it kind of played into their long days because they were still trying to figure it out, like
flying by the seam of their pants.
right?
What the fuck they're doing?
Which is why the days took so fucking long. Well, there is one more spoilery kind of thing, and then we'll get into our favorite scenes and then jump into the other movie. Apparently, and if you don't want to hear past this, just close your ears for a minute or so.
Earmuffs.
Apparently, the end scene with the baby, it's something that the director had a dream about. He had a really bad dream about his own mother. And he said that his mother's eyes kind of rolled back in the dream, and he had asked the actress to do the same thing to kind of mimic his dream, but she was unable to do it. So he was like, well, we just shot it anyway. I thought it was interesting, though, that this is all based on a dream. That's why he tries to pull that fucking, what do you call it, M. Night fucking bullshit on the end, you know, to try to fuck with us and then brings it back. Did you guys have any favorite scenes in particular that you want to mention in order as best you can?
For me, I always enjoy the scene where they're trapped inside, where you know, all the stuff comes crumbling down and they're kind of like realize that they're fucked.
Oh, okay.
Because I love those kinds of things where it's sort of like, you know, this big action scene that just comes out of nowhere and then it traps them all inside.
I think I know what you're talking about too. Is that the one? Wait,
yeah, it's when they're all in the hallway and then all of a sudden like the front door just like the whole like ceiling comes crashing down.
Okay, yes. Okay.
It's like the early scene where they realize that they're in there with something.
Right before is right after the sex scene, right? The first sex scene.
Right, yeah. Right after it, yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Brittany?
So I like the first kill scenes, pretty tits. Literally, I guess. Well,
yeah, they
no,
do show tits in there.
Her tits aren't really out so much because she had a shirt on at this point. But I just love how out of nowhere it comes from.
Yeah.
Basically, like she's like mad at. This is shortly after she just fucks this dude, and then like they're trying to find a way out because everything just kind of crumbled and it's crazy and kind of chaotic, and then she opens this wardrobe or whatever the fuck it is, and this weird corpse falls out of it. This woman's corpse falls out in front of her, and she's completely just like, what the fuck? And then all of a sudden, bam, like a spike shoots out of the fucking floor.
Oh, that wasn't the first kill.
What are you talking about?
The first kill was the eye gouging scene, the one I was talking about earlier.
I didn't count that. Sorry, I meant like the first kill
I was like,
of, like,
wait a
those
second.
people.
Yeah.
I meant the
like
first
the
kill
first
of the group.
character in
The
first character kill, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. That's what I meant.
Gotcha.
I didn't even think about that.
I forget what her name was off the top of my head.
Ray?
Yeah.
Ray, yeah, R-E-I.
Yeah.
Because there's
Ray.
two characters that are...
Similar names.
There's Rai and Ray.
Yeah.
It was a little confusing.
But I thought that was interesting because it was funny because it was out of nowhere for
The
me.
spikes
so it was
things
like
were pretty cool.
Like out of the floor, and I'm like, what the hell? And then all of a sudden, like, here's another one, and then here's one more, and I'm like, oh, cute. And then it's kind of fun because you can watch her, like, the actress is kind of struggling to make sure she's holding the one under her arm.
Yeah, you see the floor,
moving.
it fucks up a little bit. Like, you
Cute,
can see
yeah.
the floor move a little bit on the second spike.
Just like a little tiny inaccuracies that you kind of notice, like when I'm like, oh. But it was interesting, and then to follow up with that later is when they send her body down this like chute thing. Like it reminds me of in Beetlejuice, like, you know.
I know what you're talking.
They're in heaven, whatever it is, wherever the chick works, heaven or hell or recently deceased area or what the fuck ever, and like
Oh yeah,
the dude
I
that
know what you're
got
talking
flattened
about.
by the truck that delivers the mail and shit.
Right,
like,
yeah.
That's what it reminds me of because she's on like a hook, like attached to this like meat locker type slide.
And she's like really dead for a long time, kind of looking.
She's dead, yeah.
She's like blue, like the fucking
yeah.
Dawn of the Dead
She
zombies.
comes like slowly at first, like flying down this thing, and everyone's all confused, and like the fucking morons, they're walking towards her, like towards this weird thing that's coming towards them, and I'm like, yeah, fuck that. I'm gonna keep going the other way. And then all of a sudden it just like speeds up and it just like flies at them, and they're like, whoa, and then they duck out of the way, and it's like thwack right into the wall. What the fuck is this? Just like a meat slab? So it's like reminds me of a big old chunk of cow from a slaughterhouse. It was funny. It was funny, but it was also interesting at the same time. So
no, I like that part.
The effects on that
cool.
were really cool. It did a really good job with it, but it was also comical.
She just kind of bounces off the wall.
She does. She like full on like she hits that shit at full speed, and I was kind of hoping she was gonna explode, but she didn't. So.
Well, one of the other things that I wanted to mention, it's more of not a favorite scene, but it's more of like a wait, what the fuck? Like, first of all, there's a guy being held captive by this killer, right? And he gets out. And then his first idea, instead of getting out of the fucking compound, is I'm going to go rape this girl in the car.
Yeah.
And then they have some of the tidbit of information about, oh, there's two of them, not one. The two are the same as one.
So weird.
And in the middle of them having sex, and she's just like, oh, yeah? Oh, wait, you're raping me, you know?
Like she realizes it or something. Like I was sitting there, I'm all, God damn it, Alex.
But this
again.
also, this is the other thing that ties into it again, is that dreamlike thing that I was talking about.
Yeah.
It's like, well, because they kept talking about, throughout the whole movie, I don't know if you guys recognize this, but they talk about, how do we get out of here? So it's like some deeper meaning.
Yeah, that was like a continuing question.
Yeah, but made no sense. It's like, you go out the fucking gate, guy.
Yeah, but they keep finding their way back in. Like
right.
That was the thing. And then she touches on that too later on, because she's like, what are you doing? You were out and now you're back in. And she's all confused as to why she got back in there. And so I can, it's got like a power or something. Like they're all kind of controlled in a way.
Yeah, it's like ghostly baby.
Yeah,
thing.
it's weird. It's like a possession.
Reminds me, the baby in that, by the way, if you guys have ever seen The 13th Curse, it's a Chow Yun-fat movie. Well, sort of. He's just in it for like...
Sort of.
Well, he's like one of those cameos they throw in, and then they put him at the top and put his picture on the front kind of thing, even though he's only in it for like 5 fucking minutes.
Yeah.
But it has a baby that like flies around and like wraps its fucking little spinal cord around people's necks and like kills.
It's
like
the umbilical cord?
yeah, it's pretty cool
Yeah.
actually. I think we covered it, but I always forget.
That sounds pretty cool.
Anything else that you liked? Any other part for you, Don?
Yeah, that's pretty much it for me.
Okay. There's one thing I do want to bring up, and remember, Brittany, when you said that you have to play along with the killer or the rapist or whatever the fuck to get out of that situation safely?
Yeah.
Why in the fuck is the girl yelling at this guy who's killing everyone like it won't matter? Like, even if he's not... I get that he isn't aware and that his body was controlled by the baby, the weird brother thing or whatever, but it just seems like another really bad choice in the movie. Like, even if she has a gun, I don't care.
Stupid.
But I guess because they couldn't leave anyway, that's why she just didn't care.
Probably. That's why she just is like, fuck it. I don't.
Well, I guess I answered my own question there.
I don't know. I like another scene I liked though that we didn't mention was with the chick that was taking pictures the whole time.
Oh, in the hallway.
In the hallway.
Yeah, that's like epileptic seizure.
That was fantastic. The whole filming of it was filmed beautifully. It was really, really cool, and you get this whole kind of like stalker for the kill kind of vibe too that leads up to that, and then eventually like it's just all done by Shudder. Like,
is that? You know what it reminded me of is
really cool.
Fulci's. What's that one where the dancers all get killed? Do you know what I'm talking about, Don?
Murder Rock.
Murder Rock. Didn't they have a scene like that where the lights were flashing and the girl gets stabbed?
I would have to revisit it. It sounds familiar. I would have to revisit it because it's been several years since I've seen that one. I would
Or
have
it's
to
the New
revisit it
York
to know
Ripper.
for sure.
I can't remember.
It's either or. I'm thinking Murder Rock, but I would have to revisit to know for sure.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of that, I guess.
It was
It's one of
cool.
those two movies, but yeah.
Either way, I really liked it. It was just very visceral and visually interesting.
Well, guys, I mean, if you're listening and you're kind of wondering what the fuck we're talking about, I mean, the story is really kind of all over the place. But if you're looking for something that's just a little bit weird, that might be, outside of your regular comfort zone, and you're looking for some sort of Asian film that might have some cool deaths in it, it doesn't make a lot of sense, and you're just kind of going for the ride. This isn't a movie that I'm going to watch every year, maybe even every 2 years. Like, I think the last time I watched this movie was like 6 years ago, maybe more. I don't know.
Yeah, it's definitely something that I would look into. Maybe not for a frequent revisit, but just as a curiosity pick, I wouldn't be offended if you did that.
Right. You?
Oh, I'm gonna watch the shit out of it.
You liked it that much?
I did. I'm gonna make Jenny fucking watch it with me. Like, I want to get hammered, and I'm going to watch... And Mouse hasn't watched it yet, so I'm going to get hammered this weekend, probably, and make Jenny and Mouse watch it with me. And once we get to the boring part, I'm just going to skip to the last, 15 minutes. So, because there's the one scene that I can't believe none of you guys mentioned it, but there's, one fucking awesome death scene no one talked about, so everybody should watch it.
Well, I didn't mention all of them, but which one are you talking about?
No, I don't want to say. I want our viewers to go watch the movie and then just see that part, because it was really cool.
Well, there is another movie that we did talk about for this outing, and this is the one that brought us all together, and this is The Boxers Omen, also known as Mo, which means demon.
Mo means magic.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
I think so.
They said it meant demon in all the stuff I...
Because I know that the sequel, maybe it's bewitched that means magic. Because one means magic and one means spell in the original language. Because the first one, bewitched, is known as goo, and I think that one of them means spell and one of them means magic.
Really? Well, I know about the goo thing, but
that's what I'm saying. I'm trying to look around here and see which one it was, because I'm pretty sure I've heard that one means one and one means the other, but I can't remember which one's which.
Okay.
Because that's why that they were originally sequels.
Right. Came out on October 29th, 1983. It is a Shaw Brothers film. Now, if you're familiar with some of the Asian cinema, you'll probably know the Shaw Brothers, probably more so because of the kung fu movies that they used to make. They were pretty prominent during a certain time frame, and then they moved to horror a little bit to try to catch a different, more modern thing. The story is, while in Thailand to avenge his brother, who is crippled in a fight with a corrupt Thai boxer, a man gets caught up in a web of fate, Buddhism, and black magic. The director and the story was put together by Chu Kung Kwai.
Yeah, Kwai Chi Young.
Okay, well, Kwai Chi Young, he also did the movie Corpse Mania. He did Goo, which was known as Bewitched, is another name that it went by, which is technically the sequel to this movie.
No, this is the sequel to Bewitched.
Is it the other way around? This is the sequel
to Bewitched.
Okay. Well, also, he did a movie called Curse of Evil, Hex After Hex. He also passed away October 1st, 1999. The screenplay is on Seto. He did a couple of other movies. He wrote for Brutal Sorcery. He did the 36 Crazy Fists, which another musician's band tried to start up and call themselves. He also did Hex After Hex and Corpse Mania, Goo, and many, many more. Some of the cast, I picked two mostly because most of the cast you don't really get to know that much. The main star, Philip Ko, who plays Chan Hung. He's also a director and an actor. He directed High Sky Mission, Extreme Warriors, American Force 2. He acted in Enter the Dragon as a bit role. He was also in Iron Dragon Strikes Back. He was in quite a few Bruce Lee films. He was also in Sex Beyond the Grave, which seems to be a theme in some of these movies. For whatever reason, you have the rape there, the rape after, the Seedings of a Ghost, there's quite a other different films. He wasn't in those, but he was also in many action films. He has over about 200 acting credits.
200 acting credits.
Yeah, and literally 50 director credits.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the best Filipino action films around. Check some of them out. He ended up, I think, for a period of time marrying Yukari Oshima, and they moved to the Philippines and did a lot of the work together. Some amazing titles.
Who was that person?
Yukari Oshima. She was right after Michelle Yeoh and Cynthia Rothrock with the Girls with Guns movement in Hong Kong.
Okay.
Yeah, Yukari Oshima was always the best of the second tier. The top tier was always Michelle Yeoh and Cynthia Rothrock. The second tier was, Moon Lee, Yukari Oshima, Cynthia Khan. There's a couple of others, but Philip Ko and Yukari Oshima got married, and then they moved to the Philippines, and they kind of carried the tradition over there, where they directed and starred in a bunch of really, really good wild action films. Definitely worth checking some of them out.
Sweet. Yeah, I mean, the list that I was looking through, I was like, holy shit. Like, this is crazy. Actually, one of the other actors in the movie was probably more recognizable to me because I was a fan of some of the earlier Van Damme films, is Bolo Young, who Young played as Bo Am, I believe they said his name. His big role was Bloodsport, actually, with Van Damme. And he also was in another Van Damme movie called Double Impact. He was in Enter the Dragon, Chinese Hercules, the Bruce Lee movie called Game of Death. So this guy is like well steeped in some of the fucking movies that you probably have seen. And his face is very recognizable because he's huge. He's a fucking huge badass.
His body's almost as memorable.
Yeah. So what are your guys' thoughts on this movie? And maybe we'll start with you, Don, because I know you said this is probably one of your favorite movies that you.
This is probably in my top 5 favorite Asian horror films. I utterly love this movie. If you heard it on Horror Mafia, I mentioned a little backstory about this, which bears repeating.
Please do.
Yeah, so early 2000s, I'm just getting my feet wet into the genre. I don't know much about horror. I've hit the heavyweights, your Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween, Friday the 13th, Phantasm, on and on and on. But my only experience with Asian horror was Audition. So I'm already kind of a little leery about what Asian horror is because, that's Audition.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Audition.
That's a big one to start out with.
Yeah. So one day I'm at this record store with my family. We're doing video shopping, and I get done early, so I hang out to the VHS aisle just to kill some time. And so I look around and I'm just browsing through this stuff, and I see this title called The Boxers Omen on there. So I pick it up and I think, it's a Kickboxer ripoff. It's on. Yeah, it's a Kickboxer ripoff because, it's on a video label called Tai Sing, which I know from my youth has all sorts of Jackie Chan and, Jet Li.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's, tons of those stuff.
They're still running, by the way, guys.
I know, yeah. So I have the video label. I have the title, Kickboxer, Boxers Omen. Okay, it's a ripoff. I look at the back, and Bolo Young's on one of the pictures. It's the early fight scene with him. So, not even thinking, I put 3 together and say, "Oh, it's a Kickboxer ripoff. $2, why not?" So I take it home. I think nothing of it, and several weeks later, I realize, "Oh crap, I haven't seen it yet." So I'm done with my homework. It's about dinner time. I put it on, and just as I'm eating dinner, the movie's on, and it takes such a left turn. I don't move until the movie's over. I literally sit there watching this thing happening as my dinner's going cold in front of me, not even moving, not even blinking, like, what the fuck? And I swear off Asian horror for good. Audition, Boxers Omen, fuck you guys, I'm done with you.
Oh, because of this movie, really?
Yeah, it's like, okay, Asians are weird, your horror films are not worth my time, fuck off, I'm not... I've seen an Audition. I've seen Boxers Omen. I want nothing to do with your horror. Give me Jackie Chan and Godzilla, and I'm fine with Asian cinema. I don't need your horror films. So Boxers Omen has a special place in my heart, and I revisited it once I got back into the genre later on, and it's one of my all-time favorite Asian horror films.
That's a great story, man.
Yeah.
What do you think? Do you think it's because it's just so weird you couldn't forget it?
It's one of those, what demented mind came up with this?
Right?
It's like, what thought process did you go through in order to come up with a scenario like this and then make it, to have people sign off on it and say, yeah, go ahead, that's a scene worth filming.
Sounds great.
It's like, that's sort of where, my thought process was because, Friday the 13th, Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street, Boxers Omen.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward, everything other than that.
Right, yeah. So there's kind of like, you hit the horror heavyweights from America, and then you get this, and it's like, what the fuck am I watching? It's like, such a unique and different experience that at the time I wasn't ready for it, and I had absolutely no qualms just signing off on it and ignoring it. And it took me a while to get back into it, actually. So,
well, and we kind of did a little pregame talk a little bit about it, because I was like, just tell me your general thoughts real quick. Like, did you like it or not? And she was like, so why don't you go ahead and tell them what you thought, Brittany?
My thoughts are pretty short and sweet on this. I ended up going, what in the fuck did I just watch? That was my thought process, and I still can't wrap my head around what the fuck that was. What the purpose was, what the point was. I still don't understand. So I feel like I'm kind of in the same boat that you were in when you first saw this movie. And maybe in a couple years I'm going to revisit it and have an appreciation for it. But at this point I don't. So I was telling Alex, I was like, it was so fucking hard for me to watch this movie. And we've watched some terrible fucking films.
Yeah.
And this is not terrible by any means.
And that's the thing. It's, if you look at it from technical standpoints, the special effects may be aged, but everything else is stylistically on point.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah. This is what you would call well made.
It is. It's not a terrible film at all.
It's just the shots, what they capture, are just so mind-bendingly deranged, you're trying to wrap it up.
Right.
And that's the whole thing.
One of my biggest issues was I couldn't get past all of the noise going on in the movie.
Oh,
like,
the
not
sound
even
effects.
just the soundtrack, but the sound effects and everything that was so overpowering that it was so distracting from anything else.
Like when the ghost A was like floating
Holy
around.
fucking balls. It was just like, my husband and I were talking about how this movie should actually be called The Most Annoying Sounds Imaginable, is what the title should be, because they literally and I said this about another movie that we watched
I Drink
before.
Your Blood.
I Drink Your Blood was so fucking awful for me to watch because of that as well. But this was worse. Like, I was literally sitting there, my eyes were twitching. And my husband is the same thing. I look over at him, and he usually loves this kind of fucking shit. Like, he lives for it. Like, he loves when Alex recommends these like redonkulous fucking movies. He's like, yes, please, like, let's watch this shit. He hated it. He never hates fucking anything.
Yeah,
like,
I'm surprised by this.
my husband is like the sweetest goddamn thing on the planet, and he is just like so quiet and just reserved and whatever. And he was just like, after this movie, I look over at him and his eyes twitching, and he's just like, well, that was fucking stupid. And I'm like, okay, like, all right then.
We found his limits.
We found his fucking limit.
But, as we've heard from Don, we don't know your real feelings until several years of this seed being planted in your memory.
Yeah, after this ferments in my fucking brain
and
for 5
grows
years,
a strong oak of a memory
will come back.
that you'll never forget, that may reach the height of your top 5 Asian cinema films.
Here's a fine chaser. Try going Mystics in Bali.
Oh, yeah.
Try doing something like that first, and then this may go down a little easier.
Okay.
Because that was actually the movie that got me back into it, believe it or not. Mystics in Bali was the movie. A friend of mine gave it to me in college, saying, "Hey, you like Asian stuff? You might like this." So I was like, "Oh, I'm not touching Asian horror cinema. I don't want anything to do with it." So I just watched it as a favor to
ruined
him.
my life.
Yeah, so I watched it just as a favor to him, and then that was sort of like, okay, yeah, maybe I have to try this again.
Yeah, that's something that I don't really consider, because, to be honest with you guys, like, I've seen a lot of fucking Asian films. Like, I've seen a whole lot. I have tried to reach, because I feel like you can go down that rabbit hole pretty far in this genre. I don't even know. Is it a genre? It's just Asian film, and even nowadays people get mad at you when you say Asian film. So it's like, but it's just, I've seen so many different types of Japanese, Chinese, Cantonese, fucking every knees that you can think of.
Dirty knees.
Yeah, like I've had dirty knees. I'm kidding. I've blown a dude. No, I'm kidding.
Chinese, Japanese, dirty knees. Look at these.
We've gone off the track here,
Off the deep end.
but I've seen a lot of fucking movies, and I really like the weird gems that I can't forget. And sometimes I just like to go on that ride. It's not necessarily about the story. It's not necessarily anything like prolific. I just want to see some weird shit.
Right.
And the Asian cinema, like, really fills that void for me, because it's like, I don't know what to fucking expect at this point. So this movie, and what I wrote about this is that It's ultra odd, stylish, what the fuck movie about fighting, revenge, magic, and who the fuck knows. There's so many angles, it's pretty hard to follow at times, but the long process of their rituals is very carefully planned out and documented in this film, and super complex. So complex that I almost wonder if these were real rituals, or maybe they're just really creative about weird shit that they came up with in their mind.
I wouldn't be surprised if they were real. Not necessarily, not the way that they went about them was real, but like the general concept of what you were watching was real.
It seems so out of the ordinary, you really wonder.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Some of that was actually, they say, okay, well, we do this, and then we do it this way, and then that's like the order we do it. And then they're like, okay, well, we can fake it this way, and this way.
Right.
Right. You get the idea that the steps they're taking is real, but they're just faking it in a way to make it so they're not actually doing these things.
Well, it's weird because, like, if any of you play video games like RPGs or stuff like that, they take so much time and care to prepare these magic rituals and everything that goes into it to end up in this what the fuck is going on thing that happens that just blows your mind. It's to me, it's super impressive. The dedication that they put into these ideas is really amazing to me. While it's hard to understand what the fuck is going on, it's pretty hard to take your eyes off this movie. And it is something you have probably never seen. There is literally so many unique things that happen in this film. It's, in my opinion, my personal what the fuck kind of weird, and it's jam-packed full of it. It's hard to suggest this film to kind of anyone because you're gonna get lost. Maybe it's just a horror gore junkies kind of thing that you will like this movie. I would highly recommend this to anybody that likes gore and just weird shit because this is like the marriage of both. I really love this film, surprisingly, and the first time I was going into this, I was expecting that Evil Dead Trap be my favorite. And spoiler alert, this one is probably my favorite. The movie sells for about $109 on Amazon. If that gives you any idea how many people really appreciate this movie. It was $15 literally months ago, and I didn't buy it. And I fucking hate myself for never buying it now because I really wish I would have. But if it does come back out, guys, for me personally, I say get it if you are into gore and weird shit. Period. Mm-hmm. I really like this, and you were like, "Oh, it's my favorite, one of my favorite films," and I was like, we'll see." And I ended up like I couldn't tear my eyes away from it, like you said.
Yeah. Well, I couldn't take my eyes away from it because I was just unexpected. It was just, what the fuck?
Like, what is happening to me right now?
It's like, okay.
Why is my penis getting harder? No, I'm kidding. I'm sorry.
Why do I have a boner?
Why is my pants so tight?
See, I'm on the opposite, and I'm like, why can't I stay awake? Like, this movie's killing me.
Sorry, I know I went into like a huge kind of thing there, but like, I love this movie, man. Like, I really do.
You should marry it.
I've seen so many other films that done some weird shit, and I highly recommend if you like this movie, then you need to watch The 13th Curse. There's some really cool shit in there that I think you would appreciate, especially if you're a Godzilla fan. Hint, hint, Don. Watch The 13th Curse.
Yeah, and I've seen 13th Curse. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I know exactly what you mean.
And that's a pretty mainstream title that made it over to the West, to be honest.
Right. Yeah. He's saying weird for a reason, and I, take it from me. I went through this. He means weird.
Like really weird.
Yeah, weird.
Like
this is
creatively weird. I don't know how to explain it.
Right. So let's just say this. When the weirdest sequence is a person spitting up blood onto a bat skeleton to reanimate a figure and then hypnotically control it, but yet the creature is actually attacking a person on a astral projection, sort of.
Yeah, right. Like, it transcends all like reality. I don't know what the fuck is happening.
And that's not the weirdest thing in the movie. Believe
that's
me.
Like mild.
I mean weird. Yes, that's weird. That's mild.
It's mild.
Like I said, astral projection, bat hypnosis through spitting up blood onto a skeleton. That's not even the weirdest thing in this movie, people. I mean, this is weird.
It's weirdly awesome.
He's saying it for a reason. weird.
I like this is my kind of movie. I was so surprised that I would love this movie. Like I really was not expecting it. I was like went in with really low expectations. I didn't give a fuck about the story. I was just blown away by everything that was happening in front of me. It was like going on a fucking, I don't know, man. It was just fucking cool, man. Like so I can't, there's so many scenes in this movie that I could fucking spout off. But before I lose and come in my mouth, let's talk about some of the trivia, okay? The Shaw brothers, first of all, I mentioned a little bit about them in the beginning of this. They were huge into kung fu films. They were known for doing it cheap, and they were known for doing it well for their money as well. When the fad of kung fu sort of kind of died down in 1980, they needed something to push and compete with the new wave of film and Asian cinema to try to get the West's attention, I guess. And the Boxer Omen came out from a period when the studio was searching for some sort of like new cash cow. Horror films were kind of like a natural candidate for it. Although the Shaw brothers said by their standards it was extremely expensive for no reason. So the Omen did not help the studio slide by with a cheap budget. But in 1986, the Shaw brothers stopped making feature films altogether, and they sort of segued into television production, which is kind of like what happened in around that time in a lot of places. So,
yeah, one of the few things is that this is said to be a sequel to a film called Bewitched, which
Goo?
I've seen it. Yeah, the film is called Goo, and it's released as Bewitched, and I've yet to find out where the connection is other than Kwei Chi Hung doing the directing. I'm still unsure of where the connection comes from, as why this is considered a sequel instead of just some standalone movie.
right.
So yeah, apparently this is supposed to be a sequel to Bewitched, and I still don't know where the connection comes from.
I haven't seen the movie to even fucking know. All I know is that Kwei Chi Hung was like the Bruceploitation guy.
Right, yeah.
Because there was
I've seen a lot of
all these different actors that had names Bruce Lee, L-E, and then Bruce L-I, and they all wanted to try to mimic the real Bruce Lee.
Right, yeah, Bruce Lee, Bruce Lai, Bruce Lowe,
Jet Li, fuck.
Yeah.
I mean, even he kind of tried to milk that a little bit, you know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
I mean, that's how important the West was to a lot of these films because, they would reach their market in China, Japan, or wherever, Korea, wherever the fuck that they were doing these films. But if they hit the U.S. market, they were successful. And that's why it was so important. Some of the movies, these Bruceploitation hits that they had was Iron Dragon Strikes Back, the creature feature Killer Snakes, and the women's prison sleaze of Bamboo House of Dolls. He retired, I think it was like in 1984 though, didn't he?
Yeah, this was he only did like 2 or 3 others. I think he did some gangster comedy, Cantonese Godfather or something.
Sounds about right, yeah.
It's something like that. Yeah, that's not the actual title, but it's something like that. And then I think he did one more movie, and then he retired.
Yeah, he actually immigrated to the United States and opened a pizza parlor. Believe it or not.
Yeah, because it says that is a place that is he died in Los Angeles. So
right, yeah. So it's interesting to see.
Yeah, so right, yeah, this was like one of his last movies.
Right. It was just sad. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely though a body of work worth re-exploring because Corpse Mania is an awesome Hong Kong giallo slasher mix. That is a ton of fun.
That's like an homage to the Italian cult and that's American as well, which is weird.
Yeah, that's really good, really enjoyable, and I utterly love Bamboo House of Dolls.
Yeah, I haven't seen that either. So.
Oh, that is awesome. That is so cool. That movie really needs to get rediscovered. That movie is so much fun. That's one of my favorites.
I'm going to have to check it out now. That and Corpse Mania, which you can still get. And I believe they have a Corpse Mania YouTube video up that you can watch of the whole movie. Yeah. Literally like months ago, probably like 8 months ago, when we were doing Swords and Horror, we did 2 movies, one of them being fuck, I can't remember now, but we did a swords and horror episode where we did like Versus. We did some fucking crazy fucking movie. I think it was called Seedings of a Ghost or some other one. And man, that was, I started looking, and that's when I heard about the Boxers Omen and Corpse Mania and all these other ones, and I was like, fuck, man, I need to watch all these. And it's taken us this long just to get back to it. So I think for a little while, I think that we need to pick some, like once every month or once every 2 months, we pick an episode where we do like 2 Asian films, you know what I mean? There's so many, guys.
I like doing the Asian.
Right. That's sort of where I was when I first did this, because I was away from it for so long, because, Boxers Omen scared me off the genre. Every year, the first week of March, I go through a marathon where I specifically binge Asian horror that whole week, just as a way to catch up.
Right, and then you get your fill, and then you move on to something else.
Well, it's not like that's the only week I watch it, but like that's, like specifically my time to watch it.
Yeah.
So if I watch it during, if I happen to catch one the rest of the year, okay. But like, that's, I'm not rewatching Friday the 13th. I'm not rewatching The Burning. I'm watching Asian horror that whole week just to help fill in the gaps. So yeah.
You know what's really funny about this particular film, though? They were aiming to be like the Raiders of the Lost Ark film when they made this film. Isn't that crazy?
It is crazy.
And it was a big budget failure in their, in where they were trying to release this. And it wasn't until like 2006 that anybody even knew what the fuck this movie was in the West, because Image Entertainment put out this movie as one of their picks. So it's like, wow, man, it's just amazing how some of the, like, if this movie was to get lost, imagine how many are lost, and you never think of them again.
All you have to do is just, go to the IMDb, hit some obscure country, pick a movie at random, and just see how little information there is on some of these out there.
Right.
And, some of them, you don't even have plot synopses. You don't even have, full cast of characters. You're lucky if you have a director and a writer for them. There's so much out there worth exploring. My motto, what else is out there? That's my take on the genre. That's where I come from. What else is out there? It's great to support, homegrown stuff. I mean, I love watching these movies as well. But what else is out there? What hidden gems are you going to find? Because I guarantee you, everybody out there has a story that where they found their favorite horror film, nobody ever realizes somebody needed to discover it in order to put it out there for you to find in the first place.
Right. Well, that's what I love about the genre, too. It's like some movies fail. Yeah. They fail miserably. And then years later, they find their audience, and it's like, holy shit. Like, how did this movie fail? Like, The Thing failed. Like, how does this shit happen?
Exactly. And I mean, for me personally, I know I get a lot of, internal satisfaction when I recommend some obscure thing to somebody and they say, holy shit, where has that been my whole life?
Right. Yeah.
That is a fantastic feeling. And I personally find that to be the most rewarding part of the genre.
That's why I do the podcast, man. Literally.
Exactly. It's not, you finding the movie, it's telling somebody about it. Because what's the point of seeing the best thing ever if you've got nobody to mention it to? Like, what kind of conversation are you going to have with somebody that doesn't know what you're talking about?
One of our friends, actually,
hey, have you seen this?
Alter to Ruin?
Yeah.
Mike Trevoloni, who's the singer, he is a ultra fan of stuff like this, the outer fringes that nobody knows about. And he had this insane, massive collection of movies that he was like, you know what? It got to a point where I'm like, why am I even, like, nobody knows these films except me.
Right.
And I had no one to share it with. And I'm like, I need to get him on here because I know that he's seen this shit. He said he went into one of those third-party trading companies, like where they buy all your movies. And like everybody at the store crowded around his collection that he was selling. Just crates of DVDs. And they were like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And I was like, God damn it, I wish I knew you back then, because I would have bought every one of those motherfuckers off you. Like, here's 500, thanks.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, what kind of conversation can you have with somebody that's never seen a good movie?
Right.
It's like, hey, have you seen Boxers Omen? No, I've never heard of it. Oh, fuck, okay, so now what else are we going to talk about?
That's why I like subjecting her to all these weird fucking movies, because she's younger than I am, so it's like you get to watch all these, Brittany, and I'm like, fuck yeah, I get to subject you to these fucking chemicals like a mad scientist of horror. You know, I don't know.
And half the time I come back, fuck you.
Like Crazy Lips, that one where you're like,
Oh,
really,
yes,
Alex? Really?
Fuck you on that one. Big time.
But anyway, before we get too off track, let's talk about some of our favorite scenes. Try to go with the earliest one that you remember in the movie. I usually write down way too many and try to like narrow it down a little bit when we do it live.
Yeah,
so.
the bat thing that I mentioned earlier, that weird scene, that's one of them. But
the bat one, yeah.
For me, it's hands down their first battle with the reanimated crocodile skulls and the floating head, the urn. I'm not trying not to say too much because I don't want to spoil it. But
oh no, it's you know.
Yeah, let's just say reanimated crocodile skulls, a holographic urn, and a floating head are involved, and that's not all of it. So,
oh my god, dude, that floating head.
Right.
It like we have to talk about it because like that's one of my favorite things. And the tent. Okay, like guys, like if you didn't want anything spoiled, first of all, you're gonna have a hell of a time trying to find this fucking movie anyway. And even if you do, you know, like to own it, to buy it. Like legitimately, even trying to find it illegitimately is not a very easy task, by the way. But there is a head that separates from this evil monk's head and floats off, and tentacles start fucking dangling out. And then it tries to strangle the good monk across the room because they have this organized good versus evil battle. And then all of a sudden, like, it tries to fly off because the sun comes up. And he grabs the tentacles and he holds it there and the head just melts. But there's just like everything that happens in this fight. And this is the first fight, guys. The first fight. Everything that happens in this could have been the end of the movie. And it's just the beginning. Like, and that's just like one piece of that fight, too. Like you said, there was crocodile heads, bat heads, holographic fucking... I don't know, dude. That shit was fucking weird.
Yeah, that was one of the first scenes that lost me when I first saw it. I remember that thing vividly. I actually noticed it only when I actually dropped my fork because I was about to eat. I was take a bite of dinner, and I had never moved watching this whole fight scene. And I actually knocked my arm onto my tray because I held it in place, just frozen stiff watching it. I actually dropped my arm and I banged my elbow on my dinner tray watching it. I remember that thing vividly.
Do you remember that scene, Brittany? Like, how crazy?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot to unpack in this movie.
The whole time I'm just like...
They don't even tell you why they're fighting.
Yeah, what is that?
That's the fucked up part. It's like, you don't even know why they're fighting. Because literally, guys, the movie starts off, and the main character is this fighter. And it's not even the guy that ends up being the main character. So you're a little confused by it. It's his cousin who's fighting, and then they're in the ring with this Bolo guy who's like the movie guy in Bloodsport. Who, if you've ever seen the meme, the GIF where you see Van Damme screaming into a microphone, and then you see the other guy playing the drums. Well, that's Bolo right there.
Right, the drummer guy. That's Bolo Young. Man, I crack up when I first saw that.
I did too, man. Have you seen that?
No.
You've never seen that?
I feel like I probably have, but I didn't recognize it.
Oh, it is hilarious. Yeah, it's
somebody put a fucking microphone in front of them and then like took pictures for the GIF, but it was actually a video because they had it started out as a video and it was just some metal band playing, and it's like, oh, and then you hear the drums going and you see fucking Bolo banging on the drums.
Excellent.
And they just moved his body around to make it like it's fucking great, dude.
Yeah, because if you've seen Bloodsport, you know exactly where those moments come from.
Right.
And that's what makes it all the funnier, is just because you know where that comes from and you just see the two meshed together.
What about you, Brittany?
I love the scene that we modeled our shot after, which is great, but the one that sticks out the most probably to me as far as like, why is this happening, but it's also really cool.
Which part?
Was when they disembowel this, or they actually not even they like completely like eviscerate this like alligator.
Right.
Crocodile, this, like, giant crocodile. So they're like suddenly like on this like crocodile farm, and there's like a bazillion of them all over the place, and I'm like, why is there? A
Well,
bunch
and
of
don't they pull out a
alligators?
body out of the ground for some reason and of some lake?
I don't even remember.
That's his body.
Is that what it is? Because like they killed
No,
the
what they
evil
do-
monk.
Right. What they do is they take they're using the crocodile as a spiritual enhancement. It's to do with Hindu mythology. It's involved with the chakra system. They say that in Hindu systems, they say that the crocodile governs the sacral chakra, which is a developmental energy. So they say that, they're putting the body in the crocodile as sort of like a rebalance. The spiritual power of the crocodile is supposed to help heal him, as sort of bring him back into balance.
Wow, you knew a lot more about this shit than I did. That's why I think this shit's real. Like, it's a real fucking...
Yeah, in fact, that's what I was going from. The scene is that they take the crocodile, and it's the body of the monk himself. They take the crocodile, they kill it off screen, thankfully.
Smash the eggs on the ground.
Oh, that was so
Right.
sad. I didn't like it. Yeah, I
Right,
didn't like that part.
Yeah, but when they put him inside, that's the body of the monk that died. And then being inside the crocodile, that's the rebirth where they're taking him and they're re-healing him inside the body. They're realigning him it's sort of like remember in the battle they cut his head off. So so it would be like the nervous system in the body would be discombobulated, and so putting him back together inside the crocodile would realign him. That's why he comes together and he's fully formed again when they pull him out.
Okay. Well, doesn't he turn into a woman? Like, at that point?
Like, I thought it was a woman. Yeah. Was it
Right, yeah, that's what it is. That's the spiritual body of the woman. When the woman reemerges, that's how they bring the guy back, is they use the woman as the
rebirth.
as the figure.
Yep, there it is. Because she pops out the three.
Three guys, yeah.
Ah,
So
makes
she was
so
the
much
conduit
sense
for
now.
their birth?
Right,
The
yes.
rebirth.
Oh.
God
Right.
damn it.
Yeah, because I was like confused because the three guys were in her
Right, it's-
body, but they put her and
They
made
put her
her
in
re-
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like,
Right,
what-
that yeah, because it's the three disciples, and then they rebirth her they rebirth the wizard through her.
If you guys are listening now, this is how batshit this movie really is. It's hard to explain. I'm surprised that you've put it together, but you've seen a lot more times than I have. This was my first time. So there is about 3 battles in this, and there's like 3 tiers to each of the battles. They fight this big fight, but it's just begun each time. And then it just opens up to more and more and more. There was one part in the movie where a fucking green head comes out of this fucking thing and floats around and tries to fucking manipulate his mind, but then he shoots that weird liquid tear that he gets from the mushroom. And what the fuck, dude? It's so hard to explain. It's like, here's an example. Like, we were talking about those 3 guys. Basically, there's a part where this guy rips the skin off of the evil girl that these 3 guys put into a crocodile, rebirthed her in so many different ways with all these different techniques. In fact, there's a part where they're eating food. It was a gross part. They're eating like a chicken's head, and they pass it to each other to chew up a second time for her to be able to swallow it. But when she comes back, they go to this temple where in Thailand, I think, where there's... Oh, no, it was in Kathmandu, where they have...
Yeah, it's in Nepal.
Right.
Yeah, Nepal.
They find these golden ashes that his brother, his twin brother that he finds out from a past life told him to go to if he wants to save everybody. And she pees this blue shit after their skin gets ripped off. It's really cool effects, by the way. Her skin gets ripped off. He's like holding it in his hand. She pees this blue shit out. Then 3 guys squirt out of her like babies. They melt. Her body melts into worms, I should say. They kill one of the 3 guys by gutting him with a knife. The 2 guys there's like 3 guys that come out of these fucking pods. 2 of the guys stab one of the guys, kill him, gut him. Then they cut their fucking hands off and bleed on his wound that they stabbed him open with. Then they all die for some reason. And then those bodies form little alien feather-looking dogs that walk over and shoot lasers out of it. Like, what the fuck is going on? Like, seriously, there is, I mean, if there is a deeper meaning, this is literally what happens when you die. Like, this is what happens.
I don't even remember what I was like at that point. I think I was just numb when I first saw that.
Dude, I was blown the fuck away. I was so excited. Like, most people may not be able to handle this kind of movie, but if you go into it just going, okay, this is a weird movie, and you're going to like it because it's just weird, I think you'll be okay. I think you're not going to come out wondering what life is all about. You're going to be like, how did somebody make this? Why did they make this? And how much time did they spend chaining all these events together? It makes no sense, but it's so beautiful in the same, I don't know. I fucking love this movie, dude. It's so fucking weird. I've never seen anything like it.
Oh, yeah.
I don't even know. It's like if someone was on acid trying to describe good versus evil.
It's like I said earlier, what demented mind put these thoughts together?
I don't know where on earth, like even in their weirdest dream, who the fuck could have come up with this? Like, you know what I mean? Like, this takes some either like random off the cuff fucking, hey, let's just write whatever first comes to our mind kind of shit, or they were having a nightmare for life.
Drugs.
Honestly, there's no other way around it. You probably were.
If they were on drugs, they really need to share that with the rest of the world.
I think they did. We vicariously took their medicine, their drugs, in this movie.
I'm sure Rance has a recipe to get you high like that.
I don't know. I know I'm getting over zealous about this whole thing, but I don't know.
It's easy. I know the feeling.
Yeah, I loved it. I thought it was
great.
The feeling.
feeling.
My first experience was like, oh, fuck yeah, dude. Like, what the fuck am I watching? Like, this is why I'll go back to it, because there's no way that in the first 10 times I watch this movie, I'll ever be able to unpack it, let alone the next 30 times. Like, I'll just be like, whoa, who the fuck came up with this idea? So
Right. So like I said, so if you haven't gotten the idea so far, if your experience with Asian horror is Ringu and Ju-on ripoffs, this is a whole different animal.
Oh yeah, no.
This is a different animal. Yeah. This is not like those. So yeah, if your Asian horror experience is Ringu, Ju-on, and maybe a few of the lesser ripoffs, this is nothing like that.
Yeah, because you better get ready to buckle the fuck up, because your shit's gonna be blown out. Like, it's fucking, your shoes are gonna go flying off and kick some old lady in the face, and then like you're gonna shit your brains out because you're gonna be blown away. Like, wow, this is nothing. It makes no cohesive sense. And maybe there is some.
I'm pretty sure, yeah, if you delve deeply into what each of the different colors meant, if you met, God. I'm not even going to go there.
If we knew,
if we
Taiwanese, or not Taiwanese, Thai fucking life and culture, maybe we might.
Right, I'm pretty sure there would be, people there that would explain it to us and we'd finally get it, but yeah, we're not going to go there.
Yeah, no fucking way. I don't even think people in that country even knew what the fuck it was about, let alone, but it's still an oddity that happened, and I'm thankful for it, so.
Mm-hmm.
But thank you guys. I mean, I really am glad you came on, Don. It was great having you on here.
Yeah.
If you guys haven't already, I'm sure that you're probably anxious to try to figure out what the fuck this is all about. And maybe you'll want to see it, maybe you won't. I don't know. What do you guys think, Brittany? What do you think about this whole fucking experience? Did you like one more than the other? And what did you think of both?
I easily preferred Evil Death Trap over the Boxers Omen, but we shall see. Maybe in like 5 years I'll come back and try and watch the Boxers Omen and have a different opinion on it, but at this point I think I could go the rest of my life and never watch it again and be fine. So just based on how much of a struggle it was for me to watch it the first time, like, I don't know. And not to say I don't know. It's not a terrible fucking movie, so that's the hardest thing about it. It just was a lot of, if I could just compile all the good moments into like 20-minute long clip, that's perfect. That's all I need. I don't need the rest of it. Then I'm fine.
And we kind of know what you feel, Don, but do you want to wrap it up with something?
Yeah, no, like I said, this is one of my top 5 favorite Asian horror films, and I utterly love this movie, yeah.
And you guys know, you already know how I feel. There's no contest. Boxers Omen wins. by a landslide for me over the Evil Dead Trap, but I still think Evil Dead Trap is worth a watch if you're into this kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's not terrible.
It kind of hits the middle road.
Yeah, it's sort of, there's good points, there's bad points, and they're obvious about it. This one is kind of a little tougher to gauge, but luckily what it is elements I enjoy, so that's why I prefer Boxers Omen, but...
Right. Yeah, if you guys get a chance and you can actually get Evil Dead Trap online on Amazon for like $20. You might have heard us mention. Boxers Omen's going to be a little bit hard to come by, but I think there's 2 parts on YouTube that you can watch, and it's not a horrible quality picture. It's one of the versions that don't fit the screen, so it'll be in a smaller box than the box that your TV is. So it'll have a lot of black around it on top and on the rights and left of it. But you guys can look it up and look for it and check it out. Again, it's the Boxers Omen 1983. So when you look it up, type in the date. So thank you so much for coming on, Don. I really appreciate it. And
yeah, no problem, man.
You guys, if you haven't already, where can they find your podcast, and where can they look for your stuff, and what's the best place for them to reach out?
Okay, well, I'm part of the Horror Mafia Podcast. We are on Horrorphilia Network. Pretty much find us easily on Facebook. We have a page to follow and a group to join. So we're pretty easy to find. I have a personal blog that at the moment I'm mostly in retrieval mode because I'm moving from an old site to a new one. So a lot of what's on my site now is articles and blogs I've posted before, but you can find that at donshorrorworld.blogspot.com.
Perfect. And we'll also have a lot of the links below in the information, guys. So if you guys want to find some of that, definitely add him and some of his projects, subscribe to his RSS feeds, things like that, and check out the Horror Mafia podcast. But other than that, we thank you guys so much for coming on, and thank you, Don, for coming on.
Thanks, Don.
No problem, yeah. Happy to be here.
It was a blast talking about these crazy, fucked up movies. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We will be back next Monday for a brand new episode of Beyond the Void. So thank you, and...
Stay weird, monsters.